to the Final Four.
The following is a Learfield presentation of the Oregon Sports Network.
And Oregon is going to play in the national championship game.
This is Duck Insider.
These are good problems to have, right?
Very.
So much success that you have more than one place to be.
5-3, touchdown, Oregon.
Off a dribble, launches, and hits the three. Oregon leads.
What a great opportunity it is to be able to play at University of Oregon.
I'm just incredibly proud to be a part of something like this.
She wants another three. Oh, three in a row.
Swing and a miss. Oregon is headed to the Super Regional.
Fans being out there making this a great impact.
We are so privileged and so fortunate. We get to see all these young people. We get to see this incredible growth, which is what college is all about.
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Now let's go live to the Country Financial Studio to talk Oregon Duck Athletics.
What a weekend is right. Thank you, Scott, on the hand. Here in the Country Financial Studio on a Monday. Duck Insider brought to you by OnPoint Community Credit Union. I'm Ryan Milano, and what a weekend it was. Doesn't it just feel so great to own the state? It feels absolutely amazing to own the state, and Oregon got it done in a fashion that I think the Duck fans were looking for throughout this non-conference slate. Oregon really showed it against Oregon State on the road in a hostile environment. Settled the nerves, got it done. Oregon, it was efficient, and it was really clinical. Oregon State got the ball first, and despite the fact that they ran double the plays, had the ball for twice as much as Oregon did in the first half, well, the yardage was split at halftime, and Oregon had a 22-14 lead at the break. Then the Ducks get the ball in the second half, and it's a track meet out there. It's touchdown after touchdown after touchdown, and 3 and out after 3 and out after 3 and out. It was a tale of two halves in some regards, but really I chalked that up a little bit to game script, where Oregon, you had less possessions, and you still outscored them in the first half. Second half still probably was a little better, but I think throughout the entire game it was a strong showing for the Ducks. Maybe the coaching staff feels a little differently. I know that for Coach Lanning there's still some things to improve on, and it could have been a cleaner first half for Oregon in some regards, and some of the field goal drives you want to finish with touchdowns, but Oregon scored basically every time they touched the ball. They were either in victory formation or they put up points on the board. It's all you can really ask for if you're an Oregon team and an Oregon fan going into what was a rivalry weekend and really taking care of business in Corvallis. How does the coach feel? Dan Lanning. I think a little bit more pleased after the first 2 weeks, a little bit more pleased with the process. Still some things to clean up and work on, but overall I think a pretty happy Dan Lanning postgame after Oregon's big 49-14 win over Oregon State. Let's hear from Coach Lanning.
All right. I feel like we played to our standard today, right? And really still even that, tale of two halves. The offense really effective all day, was able to score on every drive, eliminate some of the negatives. Obviously penalties were down. Thought defense was the tale of two halves a little bit when it came to third down, but part of that was winning first and second down. They were able to run the ball effectively and had some QB scrambles early, and we were able to kind of close that out in the second half. So really proud of our guys' performance, right? I think it shows what we're capable of doing, right, and owning our standard.
Felt like a really clean game for you guys. I think one penalty, points on every drive. Walk us through what you saw offensively.
Yeah, offensively, definitely a clean game. Thought they did what we thought they would do, and I thought our coaches had a really good plan for that. We're able to take advantage of that plan.
Dan, what can you say about the opportunities Dylan was able to have in space, use his legs a little bit more in this game?
Yeah, I think when guys are covered downfield, that's the threat of a guy like Dylan Gabriel, and able to be not the kind of guy that forces things, but take what they give you. And when they did, he was able to utilize his legs and take advantage of it.
Is that the intent going into this game? Try to use more?
The intent was to take what they give us.
What do you attribute the offense's consistency as a whole? Like you said, the offensive lineup stay consistent. How much was that a part of it?
I think all of it played a part. I think the biggest thing is you saw in this game where we had three penalties. Right, I think that's the biggest difference. When we don't put ourselves in a negative hole to start, especially coming into an environment where it's a road game, I think that our guys' focus was really cranked up as far as staying in a rhythm, and that really paid off. When we weren't playing for 2nd and 12 and we're playing for 2nd and 4, right, you can play a game the clean way.
Second half, defense, 2 straight 3-and-outs. What were the halftime adjustments to maybe the play you guys had?
Yeah, we want to make sure we had a hat for the quarterback in some of the scramble game. They'd hurt us on a couple screens, right? Try to have a game plan to be able to manage the screen game that they've been able to hurt us on. And then ultimately stopping the run on first and second down to where those third downs weren't third and manageable, right? Making them third or longer. I thought our defense did a good job of that.
I think the most important part, I think you talked about this week, is just being able to finish. I know the last time you guys played in Research, that was kind of an issue. I know that
Not kind of. It was an issue.
Frequently. So just to be able to come back and finish the way that you did, how important was that moving forward into your bye week and then into a Big Ten season?
Yeah, I think, ultimately we want to walk away from this field saying we were the tougher team, the more physical team. I think that showed up in the second half, with our ability to run the ball, stop them, talking about finishing, right? We didn't want to stop until, it was zeros were on that clock.
Coach, 7 straight scoring drives, no punts, obviously only 1 third down that was not converted, but this is close to a perfection of execution of the offense that you've seen here at Oregon.
We can be better. Maybe, but we can be better.
You said after the Idaho game that you were disappointed in how you guys established the run in that game. How do you feel? Obviously 7.5 yards a carry. Did it feel better today as a field? Like, it's improved over the last 2 weeks?
Felt better, yeah, felt better.
What specifically is better about it?
Well, again, we weren't battling negative plays, right? So when you're able to stay on schedule, I think we can be really dynamic. I thought Will called an unbelievable game. I thought the offensive staff made some great adjustments. I thought our players were poised and focused on the next play. They weren't worried about anybody else in that stadium besides the guys on that sideline.
What did Poncho do this week to kind of earn the starting spot? And then I know you're going to have to watch film, but just early impressions of how he performed.
Yeah, early impressions good, but just consistency. Shows some consistency. Obviously, we've changed up the lineups there at times, and we're trying to find the right group that we can go to battle with. I think we have some more than just some capable players of playing, but we were able to move them up front tonight, and because of that, we were able to have some success.
Going into the half, Oregon State was dominating in time of possession, but then it evened out towards the end. Was that something you talked about at all at the half, or was that not focused?
Really, more than anything, talked about getting stops on third down, right? And to equate to stops on third down, it meant really winning first and second down defensively, right? They were able to have some sustained drives with some success. We avoided the explosive plays on defense. I think that if you want to talk about a big mark for us defensively, the last few weeks we've had some explosive plays going up. We didn't see that today. But we were able to win first and second, which gave us the opportunity to win third.
What can you say about Bryce Boettcher's performance and just playing with his hair on fire?
No, I love Bryce Boettcher. I wish I had a million Bryce Boettchers. I mean, this guy, the way he works, what you guys see in the game is what I see every single day in practice, right? And sometimes he hits one of our own players. I got to make him run around the field goal post, right? But it's good when we're playing another team because you got that guy on your side.
How important is it to you guys to perform this well in your guys' first away game?
I think it's important for us to perform to our standard every game, right? And obviously this was a great opportunity. I love the fact that we get to go in a hostile environment and perform this way. But that's our standard. That's our expectation.
Does it make sense for you guys to come back here in 2 years?
I'd love to keep this rivalry alive. Personally, I think it's great for the state of Oregon. I think it's great for both schools. That's not something we want to see go away.
You had 10 plays of 20-plus yards today, and you only had 6 the first 2 weeks, and none of them were runs. What was it about today, and did you expect that kind of performance against what you saw on tape against their defense?
Yeah, I thought we had an opportunity for some explosives. I thought our offensive staff did a great job of scheming up some plays that were going to be effective, right? If they wanted to play light boxes, we were going to be able to create some explosive runs. If they wanted to load the box up, then we were able to take advantage of some passes on the perimeter.
How was it seeing Tysheen Johnson block that field goal kick at the very beginning, and how did that affect the team for the rest of the game?
Yeah, great momentum setter, right? They were obviously moving the ball in that first drive, and we were trying to settle in a little bit on defense, but seeing a missed kick there early, I think gave our team some life.
Dan, you're talking about playing to your standard finally those first 2 games. A lot of people wondered what that standard for this team was, just based on the product on the field. What kind of message do you think that this performance sends?
To who? We don't care about the world.
I mean, you don't care, but you see it where, obviously the rankings change every year.
It takes care of itself if you do your job, right? And obviously we could be better. And what I'm more impressed with or proud of is that our guys able to go figure out what we need to improve in doing that, right? And I thought that showed up this week more than anything. We could care less about what everybody else thinks. As long as we continue to do our job, the rest takes care of itself.
Coach, Riley McCoy had a long run early, but his passes you continued to pretty much nothing long. What were your thoughts on his performance?
Yeah, I think they run hard. I mean, he is a dynamic player, and we said early on we want to be able to control him with, with our front. I think there was a couple times we rushed past the level of the quarterback, right? And he was able to create some explosive plays happen down there in the red area as well. Where we knew he had legs and he was effective, we wanted to have a hat available. And when we didn't, we wanted to do a great job with a rush. At times, they took advantage of that because we didn't.
Coach, obviously the first couple of weeks, some close games, and the team having to deal with a little bit of adversity. How did dealing with that adversity kind of help you guys heading into this week and help your performance on the field?
Well, I think more than anything, it let us know that we got room to improve, right? And the great news is we still do, right? We still got room to improve. We're gonna be able to go watch this tape, and we're gonna find some things that we can do better. And as long as we continue to do that and grow every week, we got a chance to be good.
Is there anything different in practice this week than the previous 2 weeks? Just more attention to detail or better execution for your play?
Yeah, usually what shows up in practice is what shows up in the games. I would say that we were able to have more attention to detail. I don't think the 1-2 is any different. I think the focus, right? The focus of execution was probably a little bit different this week. And I think our guys realized it's not just going to happen on accident. You have to practice it to make it happen.
What Jay Lamar showed today, what he can do when the ball's in his hands. What has he done in practice to earn that third running back opportunity and take advantage of the touches when he gets them?
Yeah, Jaden's one of the most trustworthy players we have on our field, right? If he has a job, he owns that assignment, right? He does an unbelievable job of being humble, waiting for his opportunity when it comes. He takes advantage of it. I think that's shown up in the kicking game for us. I think that's shown up today, on a big play down the sideline. That was huge. Jaden's just a guy that brings it every single day and is really consistent.
When you've got the bye week coming up, Dan, what are some of those things that you already know you want to address, whether it's the O-line getting healthier, possibly looking at a lineup change, or some things defensively? What are those things you already know you still have to get short of?
Yeah, first thing we'll do is kind of analyze ourselves, right? We'll do a self-scout on what we've done well and what we haven't done well. How can we enhance, ourselves within the week? A lot of it's going to be about Oregon, not really about any other team. Areas where we've created negatives, how can we eliminate those? Areas where we've given up explosive plays, how can we eliminate those? And then a lot of good work against each other, right? And continue to develop our roster, right? Because it's important that everybody on our roster is able to continue to grow and get better.
How important was that first offensive drive? Obviously, Dalen stays perfect, but just to move it down the field, does that build some confidence, you think?
Yeah, I think it was great. I mean, that's what you hope to see every time we start. We talked about our openers being plays that we had a lot of confidence in. Again, I think Will called a great game, and knowing what we thought we were going to see, had some great checks built in based on looks that they'd given, and we were able to take advantage of those.
What are your thoughts on the early season bye? You feel like it's a good timing for this team right now before Big Ten play? Kind of how do you feel about heading into this week off?
We don't control the schedule, so we just ride with it, but we'll use it. We'll take advantage of it and use it as an opportunity to get better.
You talk about playing Oregon football. Do you feel like today's performance is closer to what you would describe as an Oregon football?
Yeah, certainly closer in my mind.
The two programs had very different off seasons, just in rebuilding rosters, and they had the coaching change too to deal with. How would you describe just sort of the talent gap right now between Oregon and Oregon State?
I think we have more talent right now than they do. That being said, I know how much that game means to them and how much it means to us. But I'm really focused on our team, right, and what we have to do to continue to get better.
Seeing what Anthony Hankerson and Jim Griffin did for the first 2 weeks, how was it seeing you stop that run pretty effectively, especially in the second half?
Yeah, I think it was a great challenge for us, right? And we know for us to be the defense that we want to be, we have to be able to stop the run, right? And again, I think that showed up in the second half. Let us get on schedule and be able to play ball.
Back in the day with this game, they used to have a tradition of the coaches would stop in Monroe over at the Long Branch. Just, it was part of working history. Obviously, things have changed now. Is there anything that you've brought that's sort of tradition-like? What are you guys going to be doing after this?
Breaking down our film and watching it. But I'll be honest, on our drive up, I was thinking about that. Coach Brooks has told me about that in the past, about the opportunity to stop and have a cold frosty, right? I imagine somewhere tonight I'll have one, right? But I'll be watching film. It probably won't be there.
Coach Dan Lanning, I drove with Jerry and Jorgie and Joey to the game, and on the drive back, I heard a very similar story than the one that Coach Lanning was just alluding to about the Long Branch in Monroe, about all the fun that the coaches used to have after a win against Oregon State. There's a lot of history around there, and I know that it means a lot to the Oregon community, and it was really fun to experience that my own firsthand way, or I guess secondhand way, from Jerry and Jorgie, who have been a part of that as well in the past. So that was very cool. It was also very cool to hear Coach Lanning talk about the improvements that Oregon needs to continue to work on throughout this week. Don't call it a bye week, call it a work week, but for fans, call it a BUY week. Yes, not BYE, BUY, because tickets are on sale. against Michigan State on October 4th, against Maryland on November 9th, 25% off select seats, only available this week. That offer expires on September 20th, so get on it soon. Be there at Autzen Stadium. Big-time matchups, Big Ten opener at Autzen, as well as Maryland coming into Autzen. Those tickets, 25% off. Someone who was 100% on this weekend, the quarterback, Dillon Gabriel. He had a really good day with his arm, with his legs. Talking to him when we return on Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Hey Duck fans, at Country Financial, they make insurance easy. Whether you're shopping for home, auto, or more, their representatives will take the time to understand your specific needs and explain what options work best for you. Worry less and feel more confident knowing you're covered. Visit countryfinancial.com to get started today. Experience more with Country Financial. Auto and home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, and Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
You're listening to Duck Insider. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
I'm a pretty great multitasker. I can wash dishes and do laundry. I can roller skate while walking my dog. I can even order lunch while doing my homework. But I can't use my phone while driving. A distracted driver is one of the leading causes of death in the United States. So when it comes to driving, please, don't be a multitasker.
Don't drive distracted. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
I'm coming home to the place that I remember, back to the land of my first love. Would you spread wide your arms for this way?
Back here in the Country Financial Studio, it's Duck Insider, brought to you by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Coming home to Oregon, it has so much more of a feel to it when you know that you control the state. Yes. Big win for Oregon, 49-14 over Oregon State over the weekend on the football field. Dillon Gabriel, his first and only time being a part of this matchup, he put on a show. Passing 20 for 24, 291 yards through the air, 2 touchdowns on the ground as well. Had a really strong day. 4 rushes, 64 yards, including a 54-yard touchdown run. Even better, he wasn't touched. Oregon State couldn't get home, wasn't sacked. Big day for Dillon Gabriel. Let's hear from the quarterback postgame.
Opportunities for you to use your legs in this game, get out in space. How did that feel for you just in general in this game?
Yeah, I mean, it feels good. I think a lot of people, want me to switch to running back. I think, the new day and age of college football, they want quarterbacks to run, but I think it's when it's needed as well. And I believe, when we get in those certain situations, there's trust in my legs, but also just trust and belief in everyone, up front to help me out as well.
Yeah, and then the guys setting the edge on that, 54-yard run. I mean,
For sure.
Just does that lead into what you're talking about? Just those guys making those plays.
For sure. It's all blocks downfield. I mean, I didn't get touched on the run, so it's things that, people don't see that, help me, make that play happen. So I'm just proud of the guys up front. I think, just the way they've competed and continue to do so, it's been, great to see.
7 scoring drives, 6 touchdowns. Guys barely get stopped at all. What does that one feel like when it's that efficient, when it's that effective, and it looks like what I guess a lot of people expected it to look like?
Yeah, it feels good. I just think, as we continue to execute at a high level and play within the system, I think you're seeing confidence, from everyone within that. But then also us, molding together and finding, kind of our identity as well. I've said that before, but you just see all these players start to make plays and with the ball in their hands, and it makes my job a lot easier. But then, of course, we talk about it up front. I'm super proud of those guys, and pass pro, run pro, just communication, on the road, things that I haven't done with them, and they haven't done with me. So things you learn and continue to grow from.
Given the balance you had offensively, the job of defensive, the second half shutout, is there one key big reason you think kind of everything clicked? Everything under the umbrella kind of seemed to click today.
Yeah, not panicking. I think, like I said, we live in a world where if it doesn't look a certain way, right, there's opinions, but there's also, panic, right? And I just love how everyone in the building has continued to just focus on the process and getting better every single day. And I think that allowed us to just play confident, play free, and let it loose. So,
what's it like starting a game, 15 completions?
Good. I mean, you don't really think about it in the time, but I think when you watch it back, you look at ways to create completions, create positive plays. We talk about that a bunch, and keep moving the chains, and that not only builds rhythm, but I think builds confidence and continue to build drives from series to series. So it's that's how you'd love to write it up. So.
Last week after Boise, you said things had to change because you can't continue to do the same thing and expect a different result.
Yeah.
What changed this week for you guys?
A bunch. I would love to tell you, but then, the Krabby Patty secret formula's out. So, no, we just, day to day within practices, we change things that, could help us and benefit us. And that's for, every individual position group, but then us as a unit. And then, obviously as a whole team. But, I think we continue to make adjustments, and that doesn't stop. But of course, you find kind of the formula for your group and keep building upon it.
You talk about confidence, comfortability, easing that panic, something that everyone kind of saw Oregon football do as a whole today. But we also saw you back there. You looked more comfortable. You looked more confident. We saw you dancing and celebrating. What did that feel like for you? Did you feel like you finally felt that comfortability back there in the park for the first time?
I think I always have felt that way. But more importantly, I always tell the O-line, you give me the time, I'll do the crime. So they've continued to do that, and I'm proud of them. I think it goes to show with any offense. I think when there's an offensive line playing at a high level, it allows the quarterback to play efficient, clean, and then of course the run game hitting like they did. They killed it. So.
After the last two games and things being a little tighter than you wanted at the end, how good did it feel to be able to come out midway through that fourth quarter and just be able to watch a game and know that you guys did a good enough job for you not to be out there?
Yeah, it felt good. I think the biggest piece of that is like being able to see guys who put in equal amount of time and work, be able to go on that field. And I think that is huge in itself, but also I think winning in general, there's no better feeling, and just finding a way to go +1 is something that you want to do. Of course, you want to dominate and do it a certain way, but I think adversity early and finding ways to win together as a team that was building itself up, I think that's important too.
Do you feel like Dan talks about just playing Oregon football and everyone's talked about playing up to the standard? Do you feel like this kind of is what you've seen in practice and finally you're able to do it when it matters this week? Or do you feel like there has been a really big jump in games and practice from weeks 1 and 2 to this week?
Yeah, I think in practice you look at it, whether it's penalties or negative plays or sacks on my end. I think a combination of a lot of things that were self-inflicted. Not saying other teams weren't doing, they were killing it as well, but there's a point too on offense where you're just not executing, and I felt like I've said it, we shot ourselves in the foot enough times to where we had to fix it. And I think when you see wins like this, it's because you're executing at a high level, the run game's hitting, you're not in as many third downs and you're converting on third down. So I think you look back, you want that flat Patez back to get the +4, 7 points instead of 3, but that's things we'll continue to clean up.
Still an 84% completion rate, nearly 1,000 yards passing and 6 touchdowns in your first 3 games. What do you contribute to your early success in your start here at the University of Oregon these first few games too?
Teammates, I think it's very apparent that you can't do this alone, and that's why we love football, right? It's the greatest team sport, ever, because all 11 have to click, on all cylinders, and it's extremely tough to do so, right? But I think it's all because of them and us coming together and finding ways. But I think the confidence in one another and continue to just keep fighting. I think that's helped me a bunch. The camaraderie between us.
You've alluded to it a little bit, but I believe no sacks today. One, what do you make of the offensive line's performance today and keeping those clean pockets? But also on your end, what do you think you did better to avoid sacks?
Yeah, I think I'll start with my end. I think just creating completions and trying to get the ball out, but also moving when necessary and staying in the pocket when I don't have to. But I do think the pro was good all day. I don't think I really was touched. So I can't even explain how proud I am of them. I just like the way they continue to fight, and those are 5 guys you want to go to bat with, or 6, 7 guys that, I wouldn't want to do it with anyone else.
Yeah, you described the Idaho game and the Boise State game as strenuous for the offense. I'm wondering if you have a word to describe today's performance.
Explosive. If you have explosives, it helps you, I think we lacked that early on, but you're starting to see that happen. A 4-play drive instead of 15. I think that's common sense too. It's easier to mess up in 15 plays than 4, right? So I think when you have explosive plays, it helps. Creates momentum, creates rhythm, allows you to be on the plus side of the field more. There's just a lot that goes with that.
This is the one time you'll play Oregon State, and I'm curious how you would describe what it's like to be in, like, what the college football rivalry thing is like for somebody who's kind of a journeyman or who's been through 3 different, swings of this with different programs.
I think there's just more that comes with it, and a lot of history, which I appreciate, as a guy playing the game. But more importantly, I remember when I was a kid watching, Marcus play the Civil War and his famous hurdle. Like, those are things you don't forget. And then I think all week you hear about the rivalry. So I appreciate it. I think any way we can, keep rivalry games, I think it's important. Not only for the fans, but the players as well. And there's always an extra edge, when you do play those games.
What was unforgettable about this one this year?
Gosh, it was just fun. I had a blast. I just have appreciated playing in a bunch of new places. From the Southeast all the way up to the Northwest. I think you just appreciate different environments. Sometimes it's fun, hearing fans just chirp at you. So I'll appreciate everything that came with it, and then of course getting the dub.
That's Dylan Gabriel post-game, not giving away the Krabby Patty secret formula. Hey, if you don't like it, well, the Krusty Krab is unfair. Yeah. Bryce Boettcher, he's an Oregonian kid, had a big day in what he called his Super Bowl. We're talking to him after the game when we return on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Dear summer vacay, load up on fun in a new Toyota. Go off-road in the 4Runner, haul it all in the Tundra, play hard in the Tacoma, or take the scenic route in the all-new, all-hybrid Camry. Visit Toyota.com for more info. Toyota, let's go places.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Dear summer vacay, load up on fun in a new Toyota. Go off-road in the 4Runner, haul it all in the Tundra, play hard in the Tacoma, or take the scenic route in the all-new, all-hybrid Camry. Visit Toyota.com for more info. Toyota, let's go places.
More Duck Insider coming up on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
All right, son. Time to put out this campfire.
Dad, we learned
about this in school.
Oh, did you now? Okay. What's first?
Smokey Bear said to.
First drown it with a bucket of water, then stir it with a shovel.
Wow, you sound just like him.
Then he said.
If it's still warm, then do it again.
Where can I learn all this?
It's all on SmokeyBear.com with other wildfire prevention tips, because only you can prevent wildfires.
Brought to you by the USDA Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Ryan Blaney, a third-generation race car driver, and I dedicate a lot of my time going fast. But when my grandpa was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, it was a very unexpected bump in the road for us. It's important to notice if older family members are acting differently or having trouble with routine tasks. Early detection of Alzheimer's can give your family time to explore support services and access available treatments. If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together. Visit alz.org/time-to-talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
You know you make me wanna kick my heels up and throw my hands up and throw my head back and come on now, so good to see you.
Back here in the Country Financial Studio on Duck Insider, Oregon gets the big win over Oregon State. Doesn't mean more to anybody than the Oregonian Bryce Boettcher, who's been going to these games forever, Oregon versus Oregon State, and he put up some big performances on Saturday. Let's hear from the linebacker, Bryce Boettcher.
Yeah, you said earlier this week that this was your Super Bowl.
Yep.
To be able to come here and finish like you did, how important was that for the team, especially around the national noise kind of after the first two games, you guys not playing to that standard?
Yeah, it was huge. The first two games, obviously, we didn't play to our standard. Whether it's, getting our feet wet, new team, whatever you want to call it. But, I told the guys I'm a firm believer in the rule of threes. In this third game, this is the game where we're going to take off. And I think everyone, bought into that and, showed out on the field today.
What changed in the second half? They were able to run a little bit and sustain some drives,
Yep.
and you guys held them to, I think, 91 total yards in the second half. What was the difference?
Yeah, we just came in a half, made a couple of adjustments when it came to coverage, just getting our eyes into the screen game a little bit, so we stopped those screens and then made a couple of adjustments with the run game. But it was honestly just a mindset, that mindset in the second half. I knew we had to finish, and we did.
What motivates you personally about a game like this? It seems like you kind of had it turned up a notch for this one.
Yeah, I grew up, I think I missed 3 Civil War games since I was 5 years old. So just being a part of the rivalry, knowing how their fans act when they win, and, having family on both sides of the rivalry, just the feeling and the rights to knowing that you got this game for the entire year is what motivated me for this one.
So how did you manage emotions then? In a situation like this, you could maybe try to do too much, things like that. How would you describe the way you were able to kind of bottle and channel it all correctly and have a performance like that?
Yeah, I just football's a little bit different. You can definitely be more outward with your emotions, especially on the defensive side of the ball. So that's what definitely fuels me. But at the end of the day, I've had a good amount of experience over the years, knowing how to handle big games like this and those emotions. So I just try to channel it into my teammates and make sure they feel my presence and make sure they're juiced. And at the end of the day, obviously channel my energy into the ball carrier. So.
Coach said that he wishes that he had 22 Bryce Boettchers. Where does that confidence and that love come from? How does that feel to you?
Yeah, obviously it feels great that Coach recognizes, my hard work and who I am as a person to, lead off on the rest of the team. Yeah, it's a great compliment to have, but I see it as something I have to earn every day. It's not something he just says that because he likes me. He says it because we have mutual respect for one another. He gets on my ass and he needs to get on my ass. So that that's what I respect him for, and our relationship has definitely grown over the years. So I respect that a lot.
Dan said practice this week was different, and he says the way you practice is the way you play. What was different this week about practice than the previous two?
Yeah, I think everyone just got through their minds that it's a rivalry week. Obviously, when it comes down to the game and the practice, you got to play yourself. Like Oregon's playing Oregon, but there is that extra edge, which I told the guys. It's like, yeah, you got to do your assignment and know what you got to do for the team. But at the end of the day, like you got to bring extra juice for this game because that's what Oregon State's bringing. They know that, they got to bring that extra chip on their shoulder, and they have it because they're Oregon State. And throughout the rivalry's years, I feel like Oregon's dominated it, so they know they got to bring it. And if we don't, we'll get caught in the mouth, and if we're sleepwalking into it. So I think the guys, knew that we were getting everyone else's best shot throughout the past couple of weeks, and that Oregon State's going to give us their best shot. So that's what changed in practice.
Middle, sorry, Brett.
That's okay. Bryce, you guys had another 7 passes broken up in this one. You guys are one of the leading teams when it comes to passes defended this season. where does that kind of success come from, and how much pride do you take in being able, maybe not making the big plays in interception, but knocking the ball down and still making the big play when it's needed?
Yeah, it's one of the pillars of our defense is ball excellence. Like, the ball is everything, whether it's, punching the ball out to, cause a turnover, an interception, or, pass breakup. That's one of our pillars of our defense, and our coaches preach it every day before practice. It starts in practice. We'll practice, hook and punch, stripping the ball from the ball carrier and everything related to the ball and defense. And that's where good things happen. So I just praise our coaches for that. I think they've done a good job coaching it.
First 2 games, a lot of highlights, a lot of lowlights. Why was it so important, especially heading into Big Ten play, that you guys kind of played a complete game? And when the offense is doing well or special teams is doing well, how does that help take the pressure off of you?
Yeah, it's huge. Anytime you can get a game like this going into Big Ten play, it's definitely huge. And I believed it. The guys believed it, and it happened. When it comes to pressure, I don't really feel any pressure when it comes to it. I feel like it's just a blessed opportunity to be put in a situation, and I feel like pressure would be having to provide for kids or a family in that regard. And I'm just living my dream.
How different is the feeling, Bryce, walking off this field in a half-empty stadium to choose compared to 2 years ago in a mob field and going down the fence all the way to Gill and getting heckled all the way through and all that? Just how different a feeling is this?
Drastic. Yeah, I can't, put into words obviously how different it is, but it's a way better feeling. I'll tell you that much. Coming off the field, letting my teammates know how well they played, and it feels great to own the state for one more year.
I feel like you might have had a chance on that first play of the game to start off with a pick, or maybe even better.
Yep.
Even with this big win, is that going to be something you think about a little bit?
Yep, I'll definitely think about it. I'll watch it on film and flush it down the toilet and then on to the next day. But yeah, that was a stop for sure.
Bryce, when things seemed so hard for the first 2 games, just for the team in general, is there a sense where you almost need a game like this, or you need to see it to really feel what you guys are capable of? And does it feel good to have? I mean, obviously it feels good, but how does it feel to have kind of that out of the way where you have a game like this?
Yeah, it feels great. Honestly, I didn't really need to see it to believe it. I've seen it in practice and I've seen it in camp, and I've realized how special this team is. Whether other guys need to see it to believe it, maybe that's something they could answer. But I believed all the way that this was the game we were going to do it in, and I think everything happens for a reason, and I'm glad it happened this way because it made us realize that everyone's going to give us their best shot. And I think guys really started to realize that, and here we go.
I think that's a great point from Bryce Boettcher. Oregon's getting everybody's best shot. Got to be ready for it. Ducks were ready for it on Saturday. Big win over Oregon State. Now it's a work week for Oregon football until they head into Big Ten play against UCLA. Well, Oregon soccer just had the entire athletic department's first Big Ten athletic event, really, and they played UCLA. Big Ten Oregon, Big Ten UCLA in a conference matchup. Still sounds a little odd, but we're going to break down what happened on Saturday as well against UCLA with the head coach of Oregon soccer, Graeme Abel, when we return. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
At Shadow Hills Country Club, we're more than just an award-winning golf course and practice facility. Our events team offers all-inclusive event pricing that allows us to take care of all the details while you enjoy your event. Our indoor and outdoor venues offer you a wide variety of fully staffed options that put the focus on you. From weddings to business and social events, at Shadow Hills Country Club Events Center, you get the benefits of a resort atmosphere and amenities in a peaceful country setting, just minutes from downtown Eugene. Call for a tour today or visit shadowhillsevents.com.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
More Duck Insider coming up on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Kids ask their parents a lot of questions.
Why can't people fly?
Gravity.
Is the moon really made of cheese?
Yep, cream cheese.
When can I move into a big kid's car seat?
For some questions, parents may not have the answer, but that's okay. They can't know everything, but knowing the right seat for their age and size will help protect them in a car crash. Find out more at nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat.
Where do babies come from?
Good luck, Dad. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
When might you be buzzed? When you suddenly love everything.
You guys, I love this song. I love these nachos. I love our kickball league. Ugh! I love this guy. What's your name? You know what I'd love? A ride when it's time to head out.
If you see a buzzed warning sign, call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
I love your car. Is this real leather?
Back here on Duck Insider in the Country Financial Studio, Ryan Milano now joined by the coach of Oregon Soccer, Graeme Abel.
How we doing?
Coach, I'm not sure. I was expecting for you to come in with a whole rainbow outfit inspired by the uniforms over the weekend. Still look good in the green and yellow, but team looked great on Saturday.
Yeah. Nike took care of us, and Todd Van Horn and those guys. Yeah, they did a really good job for us.
The B Oregon uniforms were debuted on Saturday. Livy Moore, obviously a big part of that, part of her B Oregon initiative, and the whole team as well, a huge part of that. And the team they played with a lot of fight on Saturday. I know close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades, but this was a really strong fight.
Horseshoes and hand grenades, I've never heard that one before.
It was a strong fight from your club. What did you think in terms of just the actual fight from your team going into that game and the mindset going into that matchup?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you look a little closer than just fighting, I mean, I think we executed a game plan. Defended really, really well, I thought, in the first half. Played too much in front of UCLA in the first half. We didn't really cause them a couple of problems early on in transition. But we played too much to feet. Made it easy for UCLA probably in the first half for their defending. Changed it in the second half. That was kind of where the goal came from, where we were able to stretch them and playing behind a little bit more. But then probably got caught playing too long at times at them, and then started to stretch the game and not keep possession enough. So, looking back, probably could have done a better job of mixing it on both sides of the ball. But I thought we defended extremely well. We knew we were going to have to defend the ball real well. We knew that they would have a lot of possession in front of us, but we knew if we could force them around our shape, so we could kind of squeeze them to one side, then that would make it easier for us. And with Chloe and Lexi, they're able to defend the 18-yard box really well. So I thought we did a really good job of executing that game plan, to be quite honest with you.
How is the team in terms of? It felt like at Pape, there was this air of intensity almost coming into this one. And there always is. There's always respect for the opponent. But with this one specifically, it felt like the team was really fired up to play this one. Was there a message coming into this game about the opponent that you were going to play?
No. I mean, I think it's I think the outside noise builds it up about the opponent. I think inside our four walls, we talk about being the very best of ourselves every single day. Be the best version of ourselves, and so I felt as though if we were able to put forth that. I mean, it's a game under the lights. I mean, we haven't played a game under the lights yet. I mean, we had Seattle U early on, but so early in the year, the lights really don't make a difference. But anytime you play under the lights at Pape, it's awesome on a Saturday night. The uniforms piece and all that. So that made it a little bit extra special. But when it comes to the opponents, for us, we try to make the opponent irrelevant who we're playing. It's more about us.
You talk about the defense and having to force UCLA to play around your shape. And we've talked about how shots are registered, but UCLA registered 33 shots, 13 of them on goal on Saturday. But it really didn't figure to find the back of the net very often for them, especially early. How do you feel like your team executed defensively on that game plan?
Really well. I mean, we knew if we got them around the outside, we'd have to defend crosses. I thought we did that piece well. Wanted to limit them. If they were going to shoot, they were going to have to shoot from distance. And if they were going to shoot from distance, could we get pressure to the ball so it wasn't just a wide open shot that they were taking? It was a shot under pressure, and thought we did a nice job of that.
defense starts with everybody, but Maddie Goldberg, your keeper, 11 saves on Saturday. How do you feel like she performed in the box?
Yeah, she asked me a couple of days prior what she thought we needed from her. And I said, listen, you're probably gonna have to make 3-4 big saves for us on Saturday night. And she did that. She made I think 2 or 3 really big saves for us, and then was able to deal with the routine stuff really well.
Kept the game scoreless for a large majority, despite the fact that UCLA had more offensive opportunities.
Yep.
Your team took advantage of opportunities when they presented themselves. In the second half, you were able to put some shots on net, and then on a rebound, were able to score and take the lead in the 75th, converting on opportunities when they present themselves, and especially in a game with a game script like this one was on Saturday. That's got to be incredibly important.
Yeah, I mean, we felt as though we could have done better with a couple of opportunities in the first half. I think we had one in transition from the first 10 minutes. Haley got ahead on it and kind of took a deflection, took the sting out of it for the goalkeeper. But no, I mean, like I said, we spoke about not just playing in front of UCLA, talk about turning their back line. We felt as though they were a little bit more uncomfortable when you played in behind them, and so I think directly from the throw-in, Lucy's put a great ball in, Lauren's made a great run. Put the ball on frame, it's obviously come off, and then Taylor Bryan's followed it in and expecting the goalkeeper to drop it, and we've been able to go up 1-0.
Going after that, it felt like the momentum for at least a few minutes was in your favor. And I'll say it. I don't need you to say it, but I thought on that penalty inside of the box, I thought it could have gone either way, but penalties happen. It benefited Oregon last game out. This time it didn't, but that penalty, I feel like it shifted the momentum of the entire game for those last 15 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, I think right after the game, I said it didn't shift the momentum, but looking back at it, yeah, I mean, sure, it was kind of UCLA got their backs up a little bit, and they were able to get after it, and took us probably about 5 or 6 minutes to recover after that second goal before we could kind of refocus, and then I think we had a couple of opportunities right at the end as well. So, yeah, I mean, listen, you can only control what you control. We can't control other teams. We can't control the other factors in a game, and so I think the learning opportunity for us there is, if it happens again, then we've got to refocus quicker and get back on the game plan, and then look for the next goal after that. That it's us putting the ball in the back of the net.
What are those kind of keys of refocusing quicker? Because in a sport like soccer, where nothing really happens in the overall longevity of the game for the first 75 minutes, and then it's goal, goal, goal. How do you get your team to refocus faster?
Well, I think a lot happens. I mean, I think it's, can you string X amount of passes together in terms of getting back a rhythm when you have the ball? Can you collect your defending shape quickly? In terms of keeping it compact and keeping the distances tight enough that you can get pressure to the ball. And so it's doing all those little things. If you get up into the attacking third of an opposition team, can you go ahead and pin them into their defending third, your attacking third, so you keep the ball in that part of the field. So there's lots of little things you can do to ensure that you kind of gain that momentum again.
The first athletic event in Big Ten play. Still playing against UCLA, a common team, but just that first Big Ten conference matchup, how do you feel like your team kicked off conference play in preparation for the rest of conference play?
Yeah, from a performance standpoint, we feel as though there are a lot of good things to continue to build upon. We just need to make sure that, again, a little bit more dangerous in the final third on the attacking side of the ball. Still being the very best version of ourselves, and making sure that piece counts. And a lot of good moments defensively. So we need, again, there's a lot of good teams coming here. We're traveling to a lot of good teams as well. So we just need to make sure when we don't have the ball, we continue to stay tight and not give them any opportunities to gain any momentum.
Let's talk about the road trip coming up. Going to play Rutgers and Maryland over the weekend. A little bit of a different travel schedule, traveling a day early for this weekend.
Yeah, we've done it a few times already. I think we did it my second year here when we went to Texas and Baylor. We did it, I think, my third or fourth year here when we went to Hofstra. So we're used to doing it in terms of traveling a day ahead, a couple of days ahead, just to try to negate the time zone piece. And we have to travel out of Portland just to make sure we can get a direct flight and things like that. But so a lot of the group have done it before, so no big deal there.
That's a great piece of having the experience that your group does. They've come from everywhere and they're accustomed to the travel. That's obviously got to help in terms of going on these road trips that some of the Pac-12 players that were on the Pac-12 schedule last year, they didn't have to go as far. It helps having that experience to help ease them through that process.
It does. A lot of these kids are used to it, though. They come on a club ball where a kid from Portland may fly out to Florida and get into Florida at 11 p.m. and then turn around and play 8 a.m. the next morning. So they're used to it in terms of club soccer. So it's probably not that big of a deal in our sport.
Going up against Rutgers this weekend, they're a strong team. They're inside of the top 25 in the RPI. Just keys to success going up against Rutgers.
Again, I mean, it probably sounds boring. It's the best version of ourselves. Again, pressure to the ball, compact in terms of how we play, making sure we have threats behind, threats in front of the line, make sure we're good in possession. Whenever you travel on the road, you don't want to give away, silly things in terms of soft things, so we need to make sure we're tight with regards to that piece, and then, like I said, when we have the ball, making sure that both the space in behind and the space in front, we have threats in those areas.
Rutgers Thursday 4 o'clock on Big Ten Plus. Maryland Sunday 10 a.m. Big Ten Plus. Those are Pacific times. It's different on the East Coast. I can't do that math, but the keys to having a successful road weekend for your team.
It's taking the performances we've had at home. We haven't had the success yet on the road that we would have liked to have had. So it's taking the things that we do at home, taking that on the road with us, and like I said, not giving away anything too early against these teams and trying to imprint ourselves upon them early in the game. Is there anything else that fans should know before we let you get out of here, hit the road, and catch a flight? That's early in the morning. It's 5 a.m. tomorrow morning. So, no, again, I just want to say thank you for all the support this weekend. And we had a big win over in Corvallis with the football team, and we had plenty of people come back and pack the stands at Pape. So, again, thank you to the community and student athletes, coaches that all came on and supported us. Absolutely, Coach. Best of luck. Appreciate it. Here's to a great road trip. Thank you. That's Coach Abel. We'll return, continuing to break down that game in Corvallis on Saturday over the weekend when we return on Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Hey Duck fans, at Country Financial, they make insurance easy. Whether you're shopping for home, auto, or more, their representatives will take the time to understand your specific needs and explain what options work best for you. Worry less and feel more confident knowing you're covered. Visit countryfinancial.com to get started today. Experience more with Country Financial. Auto and home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, and Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Don't go anywhere. Duck Insider continues after these messages on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
When you're high, you feel different. You think different, you talk different, you draw different, you listen to music different, but you probably knew that. Problem is, you also drive different, and not in a good way. That's why driving high is illegal everywhere. So if you're high, just don't drive. Make a plan to get a sober ride. Because if you feel different, you drive different. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Are you prepared for an emergency or disaster? Because it's not a matter of if, but when. Don't find yourself saying,
I'll trust water bottles and a flashlight to save the day, but I'll be proved wrong.
With a tornado approaching, I'll realize that I like a wheelchair-accessible shelter.
When the floodwaters rise, I'll be up in the attic with 20 cans of beans. It's a recipe for disaster.
Let's prepare so we all have a better story to tell. Get started at ready.gov/older adults. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
I want you to know.
Back here in the Country Financial Studio on Duck Insider, just heard from the coach of Oregon soccer, Graeme Abel. Now we'll go back to Oregon football and their performance on Saturday. It was a strong Duck duo performance on Saturday both ways, and I thought it was a really strong performance for the offensive line for the Ducks, where Oregon did not allow Dylan Gabriel to be touched, not in the passing game, not even in the running game, as he scampered for 54 yards down the sideline. And the Ducks ran for 240 yards in this game. The leader of that offense, the guy who touches the ball every time, Poncho, Iapani Laloulu. He talked to the media post-game. Let's hear from Oregon center.
When you've been facing a lot of questions for a couple of weeks, you personally in this unit, what did it feel like before the performance that clean, where there's no penalties, there's no issues with snaps, and this offense puts up 550 yards?
I mean, it was just we got to go back to the basics. It's one thing we've been really preaching this whole week for, especially as an offensive line unit. We kind of said if we need, that wasn't our standard. Obviously, the past 2 weeks we've been playing up to our standards. So as Coach Terry, he kind of reminded us, we got to get back to the basics. Let's get back to playing with good hands, good leverage, and good feet and stuff like that. So that's something we really kind of hit on this whole entire week and focus on.
Pancho, what's the difference for you emotionally leaving a game where maybe the team doesn't play to its standard as opposed to today where you guys do reach that level?
Well, yeah, the feeling is great. Knowing that, especially today, we left the field knowing that we played up to standard, but still there's still things that we can fix, especially offensive line or as a whole group, as a whole team. But the feeling is, like I said, it's really great, and it's a great feeling to leave off the field knowing that we played Oregon ball.
How was it switching back to the center position for this game and maybe seeing this O-line getting back into the top of the league with big depth starts?
Yeah, great question. I mean, it's kind of natural for me, since the beginning of winter and spring, I was kind of playing center and stuff. And so when Coach Terry told me that I was going to be playing center this week, nothing really changed. He just told me, hey, you're going to play center this week, you're going to lead the boys. So I took that initiative and let them know that I was going to be the leader for the team.
You talked about just the importance of playing well this week and playing to your standard. Now, how do you do that consistently?
We just focus on the next play. It's one thing we kept preaching, Coach Lanning, them, don't worry about the last play, just keep focusing on the next play. After, whether it was good or bad, just a flash stick mindset, something we preach in the O-line room. Whether it's a bad or a good play, you made a good play, flash stick, it's the next play, it's the next drive, whatever it is, just keep going.
What was the key to opening up the run game more today, Pancho? Because you guys didn't have any runs of 20-plus yards the first 2 weeks, but today you had 4 of them, and I know you were pulling on a couple of them.
It's probably the main key. We kind of try to get some tendencies from the defensive line. Try to see what we could tell from some things from watching film of whether you're going to run some games or in the middle and stuff. So that kind of gives some keys. So knowing that, just watching film and stuff is probably big. Can help us the key to play in the run game.
That's Poncho talking about the offensive line post-game and how Oregon got into a rhythm offensively up front. And, well, it really showed on the football field. 49-14. You could see the difference for Oregon when they played clean football ahead of the chains. This felt like Oregon football on Saturday, and it felt really good to take down the Beavs. Also over the weekend, how about Matt Ulmer's squad? After dropping the first match of the season, six-match winning streak to this point, they go and play Portland State in a midweek on Wednesday before Oregon State comes to town on Sunday. Joey will talk with the coach of the volleyball team tomorrow on the show. Also, Athletic Director Tuesday with Damone Merkerson and more. Coach Lanning's pregame or interview on Monday. See everybody, go Ducks!
Comes to a gun suicide attempt, all it takes is a moment.
My son Ricky took his life by the use of a firearm. It broke me, and I contemplated suicide. My grandson, I was gonna have to be here for him.